Hi, and welcome to the Fabulous Cancer Podcast. Today I'll be talking to Jen Rozenbaum, and we're going to talk about her book and her program about putting your life back together after cancer. So, welcome, Jen. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. Would you like to introduce yourself, who you are, and where you're from?
Sure. So, my name is Jen Rozenbaum, and I am from New York, and I am a breast cancer survivor as well as a portrait photographer and an author.
Awesome. And what kind of cancer did you? Oh, just said breast cancer.
I had breast cancer. I had invasive lobular carcinoma in 2017.
Okay, wow. And what has helped you through the cancer journey?
So, for me, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I couldn't understand it. I mean, I was always healthy and I always took care of myself and I had no family history, I had no genetics. So it was really confusing for me and I didn't understand why. And just a few days into the diagnosis and going through doctor's appointments, it really came to me that this was given to me as a purpose, that I wasn't meant to just sit on it. It wasn't meant to just be illness. It was meant to help other women, to help change the world, to help bring awareness. So for me, it's really about the purpose behind what has been going on, and what am I going to do with that versus just sitting around being sick, if that makes any sense. So for me, the cancer really served a purpose for me.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's good. You like look at it that way. That's really good. I think that's gonna give you. I mean, that's really in general gives a lot of positivity, like from yourself. I think that's what I have, where I'm like, well, maybe there's more to this than just surviving cancer. I'm more like, oh, I should I don't know, help others and stuff. So
Yeah, and and everybody has a different purpose in it. I hate to say that and make it sound like if you've had cancer and you haven't found a deeper purpose, then it's a waste. It's just sickness. I don't mean it that way. For some people, the purpose is just in their own lives. It's just, what were you doing in your life that you weren't really happy with? Are you ready to change that? How are you ready to live your life after cancer? So it's just being aware of where you're at when this all happens and how you want to be on the other side of it.
yeah, exactly. Ah, thank you so much. So you're working on a book and a program to put people their life together, like after cancer. What does the program entail?
Yeah, so it's a work in progress right now, but I will tell you, the book actually, I just handed it to the editor about a week ago, and it's called What the Fuck Just Happened, a Survivor's Guide to Life After Breast Cancer. And the reason I titled it that is because I think that we assume that the hardest part of cancer is actually going through the treatment and the surgeries and whatever it might be based on whatever kind of cancer you have. And for me, it obviously was difficult, but the hard part really began when all of that was over. I all of a sudden was, thrown into the real world again, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know. It was like going back to a life that didn't exist anymore. So I found the year or two after cancer treatment was the hardest part for me. And I find that a lot of women struggle with the same thing. So I wrote a book into how I put my life back together. And I'm working on building a program around that for women that really want a little bit of hand holding and assistance in looking at their life and reconstructing it back to a new normal.
Oh wow, that's really great. Yeah, I actually that's really good because I feel like it's so difficult for people to actually start with life after cancer. It's like, you're so caught up in the whole cancer and the treatment and the surgery and recovering from that and then the next chemo or radiation and it's really good that you're making a book that's dedicated to okay, how, exactly what you said, like what the fuck just happened and how do you continue with that and deal with that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that my ideal reader, not that it's to say that anybody can't read the book, but the ideal reader that I'm really trying to reach is somebody very similar to me who's between 40 and 50, probably has kids, has a job, and is expected to just sort of be thrown back into real life when the truth is that it's just not like that. It's like, well, yeah, we have to take care of everybody else. We have to go back to being mom and employee and wife and sister and daughter and all of that. But really, we have to start taking a good look at our lives and what makes us tick. And it's hard for women in that position to do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. Yeah, because I'm 25 right now and I don't have a husband or a boyfriend or children. So it's really good that you have that specific group for people, because I think a lot of people are lost in that,
Yes.
how to continue with that, and even how to balance their life out with children, and even continuing with life, like where do I start and how do I, because they also talk about like self-confidence and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk a lot about what I call radical self-love. And because self-love is not enough when you're done with cancer. It's not enough to just say, well, I take care of myself. I love myself. You need like a radical self-love. You need to put yourself above everything else. And that's really difficult when you're trying to take care of everybody else all the time. So
Yeah.
we have to really define what self-love looks like. And um, sometimes that means, like I talk about in the book a little bit, sometimes that means really listening to my body and taking a nap if I need a nap when I'm not normally a napper and I feel like I need to go and I have carpooling and groceries to get and work to do. Really to listen to what we need. And sometimes that radical self love is putting up boundaries and saying to people, you know what, I'm not going to deal with toxicity anymore. I can't. It's not good for my body and it's not good for my health. And so the radical self love shows up in a lot of different ways, I think, after cancer.
Oh, that's really great. Yeah, because I feel like that sometimes too. Like, I really want to continue. I want to like do everything and be productive like 12 hours a day and everything. And sometimes like I just need a nap and I just need to, take it easy. But then it's like so hard being hard on yourself and feel like,
Hmm.
oh, I just want to continue. So yeah,
Yeah. And sometimes that self love shows up as just not beating yourself up for giving yourself what you need,
right.
because we do that too. Sometimes we're like, oh, oh, I shouldn't do this. I should do that. This morning, for example, I woke up and I had a gym class that I was going to take online since we're going through all of this mess right now. And I just didn't feel like it. My body just didn't feel like it. And I'm an avid worker outer, like I love working out. I need it for my mind and my body. And I just wasn't feeling it today. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to feel bad about it.
That's really good. Yeah, because that's what I'm struggling with sometimes. Because I'm stuck between learning to discipline myself and thinking about, okay, am I disciplining myself or is this like too much? Am I trying to push myself too much?
Yeah. I talk a little bit also about moderation versus the YOLO principle, which is you only live once, right? So I think you're diagnosed with cancer, you have a lot of like, well, you only live once, you only live once. I have to go do everything. I have to, make every day count. You have, and then so you overdo it sometimes. And then there's times where, we need to say, okay, everything in moderation. We still do have a future. We still do need to plan for a future. And like shopping, to be honest, is a perfect example, right? You can go out and spend all your money and you say, well, you only live once. I want all the diamonds. I want all the shoes. I want all the things. And, I beat cancer and I want to celebrate my life. But you still do have to plan for a long life because you hope that that's what you're going to get, right? So you still have to put money away for retirement and for, your kids' education or whatever it might be. There's a fine line between living once and just celebrating. Same thing with food, right? Like everybody kept saying to me after I had cancer, so are you vegan now? Are you eating super healthy? Yeah, for the most part, I'm eating healthy, but also brownies are really good and you only live once. So,
Yeah.
I want to eat brownies too.
Yeah, and I'm so happy you say that because there's so much going on with nutrition and like misinformation about the sugar-free cancer, or changing
Right.
your diet and everything. Like, it's like the nutrition part to a certain extent is completely irrelevant to what
Yeah.
happened. It's really sad. Like, maybe you've also dealt with people who are judging, well, I don't know if judging is the word, but like commenting on like what you just said, like, are you changing your diet? Like, it's almost
Hmm.
like almost blaming in a way. It's like really awful.
Yeah, I talk about that in the book also. It's not even blaming, it's worse, it's shaming.
Right, right.
And so when people say things like that to you, you feel shameful. Um, I remember even feeling shameful when I got diagnosed with cancer, feeling like, wow, what did I do to deserve this? What are people going to think of me that I got sick like this, that I didn't take care of myself, or I didn't, do the right things, or my karma is messed up, or, something like that. And there's a lot of shaming. I remember when I was going through treatment, I had a that I barely know, whose husband is an oncological surgeon, call me and tell me that I wasn't doing the right thing by having chemotherapy. And I just remember thinking, first of all, your husband knows nothing about my case. He's not my doctor. And she just made me feel horrible about, you're not doing the right thing. You're putting poison in your body. And I was like, no, I'm saving my life. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, people will shame you, and you have a decision of whether or not you're going to let them. And also, that's an opportunity to put up boundaries to say, I know you're trying to help me, and I know it comes from a place of love. However, it's hurting me. It's actually really hurting me, and I need you to stop.
Yeah, definitely. It's really sad. I think, like, I had cancer when I was 11 years old, and this was in
Mm,
2006. So there was, no one was in the internet as much.
right,
And now we have so many people who, yeah, I mean, everyone's on the internet now. So everyone's
right,
getting their misinformation and the misguidance for, like, keto is going to cure your cancer and kale.
right.
And, it's like all these myths, and it's insane. And it also, I mean, even as if people are patients, I see a lot of stories from people who are absolutely terrified of sugar or soy with breast cancer, and
Hmm.
it's not relevant actually to the the diagnose. So it's really sad. And even what you're saying, that you felt ashamed of, or felt like, well, what did I do? That's really awful.
Yeah, and as far as the like the estrogen in the foods, I did that too. I stopped eating a bunch of that stuff, and then I started reading articles saying that actually they think that the estrogen in soy helps with breast cancer. So the thing is, the research is only good until it's different, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
So can't live your life based on a holy grail. And you know what? What works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. Everybody's body is different.
Definitely, definitely. And it's quite interesting to see as well sometimes. Like, I personally don't smoke, but
Hmm.
it's very much like, if people smoke and they get lung cancer, it's like, well, see that, you can expect that. Or people smoke since they were like 11 till they're like 90 and nothing happens.
Right, exactly, exactly. It's so crazy.
Yeah, so it's like, it honestly, like, to a certain point, it just doesn't almost matter. I mean, of course, there's maybe a certain higher chance to get lung cancer if you smoke. I
Hmm.
don't deny that. But I mean, it's not your nutrition that's gonna save you from cancer.
Right. Right. Nobody ever said, oh, they were a smoker, but they were vegan, so it's all good. you know?
Yeah, that's, oh my God. That's yeah. And I was wondering, like, when did you decide to start writing your book?
I decided I was going to write the book from the minute that I was diagnosed, but I knew I was going to write some book. It became clear to me after my treatment that that was what the book was going to be about, but I needed some time to go through the process myself. So what I would do is I would take notes as I was going through the process, and to keep track of things that I was doing and things that I was feeling. And then in January, I decided, okay, I'm going to write this book. This is going to happen now. And I had a March 30th deadline for the manuscript, which thankfully for COVID-19 allowed me to reach because I was sitting home doing nothing. So I knew I was going to write the book. I figured 2020 was going to be the year. And so far it's happening. We'll see how it goes once the editor gives it back. But it should be released fully this year. It is available for pre-sale now on Amazon on Kindle, the Kindle version. But hopefully the print. My goal is to have the print book out by September in time for Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Awesome. And so, is it also going to be available on Amazon for to purchase?
Yeah, so like I said, it's on Amazon right now for pre-sale for the Kindle version, electronic version, but the print version will also be on Amazon when it's ready.
Oh, awesome. Okay, great. And do you have any specific advice for a listener who's maybe either dealing with this or actually dealing with, yeah, breast cancer itself? Or
Yeah, I mean, without obviously knowing anybody's specifics, without giving specific advice out there, I would say that finding a community that understands you and connects with you is really important. Another reason that I really felt called to writing the book was that I had an amazing support system. I have a family that loves me. I have friends that were there for me. I have a therapist that I love. But the truth of the matter is that nobody understands you like another breast cancer survivor or another cancer survivor. Nobody understands how you feel. Nobody understands the PTSD, the fears. like another survivor. And so it's important to find your community of survivors in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it can be in person, it can be online. I have a Facebook group for breast cancer survivors. And, supporting each other through that really means a lot.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I will also put that link in the description. And
Yeah, great.
too, and I also talk about like with other people about this. Is like you really like even if you never met each other or like you've nothing in common, you still connect on a level because you've been through the same or what it's like, and it's very
Oh, yeah.
very special. It's very unique. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree. It's the minute that you both the minute that you both connect on this, like I know for me, I always joke, like, how do you know there's another breast cancer patient in the room or survivor in the room? It's like in 3 minutes you'll be showing each other your boobs. It's like there's a connection there that I wouldn't do that to anybody else. I'm like, oh, I just met you, you want to see my boobs, you want to feel them, but it's just a special bond that you have. It is a sisterhood.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. That's I love that.
So true.
Thank you so much for joining and telling your story. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I hope everybody listening out there is well. And I'm sending everybody good energy.
Thank you so much. Okay, guys, see you in the next episode and have a lovely day.